Welcome to In My Own Words, a Nathan Williams production. Thank you so much for joining me. This is episode 1. I am, of course, Nathan Williams. My name is on the podcast. Who else is this going to be? And today is the beginning of a chapter I've been trying to get to for a long time. I will basically discuss who I am for those who don't know how'd you get here. What has inspired me to make this podcast? Where can you find it on the internet? And where do we go from here? So, like I said, my name is Nathan Williams, also known as Saint Nate on most social platforms. I'm a recent graduate of Sam Houston State University. I studied mass communication, which allows me to be in a career in journalism, broadcasting, digital media, etc. If you're more familiar with that, I'm the guy in the news, so just makes things easier. When I was at Sam, I had several radio shows. I had a sports podcast, produced newscasts, and write articles in the student ran paper. And before I even got to Sam, I was doing more of the same, including making scholarship videos. I ended up winning a few of them, like Live My Scholarship and NABJ Scholarship, which helped me basically pay for my last few semesters in school. So that really helped a lot. My overall goal is to start a career in journalism as a reporter soon. I say soon because I'm not there yet, doing a little retail thing right now. But I want to have a little fun here, doing my own thing and telling stories in my own way. What has inspired me to make this podcast? Personally, I've been wanting to make this podcast for a while. Everyone that I've ever come across this was like, Nathan, you definitely have the voice for it. You know, you got to start one. And I'm just like, I guess, if I have the time for it, I'm definitely going to do it. I'm definitely going to try. But I never really knew what to talk about. And the last few weeks leading up to this very first recording, I've had a lot of self-reflection, reflecting on experiences, reflecting on opportunities that passed, where I am in this short life, this 22-year-old, how far this journey has become so far. And it made me realize that at the end of the day, I could talk about my experiences for the younger people who may not have that role model. I don't consider myself a role model. I really don't. I talk to my parents about that all the time. I'm not a role model. I think the things I do make me a role model, but I can't really see myself being that. But I feel like with this podcast, I can do that and be comfortable and not uncomfortable with that process. I think that's something that would really help. Using this podcast, using the experiences that I've had, and even with some guest hosts that I plan on bringing on the show, using their experiences to allow a person who is listening to learn from that. I've given advice so many times on so many different things. I feel like, why not just put it on a recording to let people enjoy it and follow up with it and stuff like that. So yeah, that was one little thing. Another thing, side story, but to answer that question, a few months ago, and this is gonna be funny because there's only a few people who actually know this, but I'm putting this out there for the world. A few months ago, prior to me graduating, I did a podcast with a person who shall remain nameless. Yes, we're dropping this bomb on episode 1 because that's how serious I am about doing this. I did a podcast with someone who reached out to me through a mutual who I went to high school with. Yeah, that should definitely close some circles, huh? And they actually had me on their show, and I saw how easy it was. Now, I had already done a podcast, or I was in the process of doing a podcast anyway in that time. But for that particular podcast, it was spur of the moment, scheduled, but yet do I want to use the word reckless? I'm gonna say reckless. It was reckless. From beginning to end. The interview was great. It was a fun interview, and it literally, was exactly what I wanted to do, inspire others through words that are coming out of my mouth. But what happened after the fact really, it pissed me off. It really did. And to this day, the episode that I was supposed to be on isn't even uploaded. Yeah, I went back and looked for it. I felt like the interview itself was cool, and I was gonna share it. I'm big on sharing. I mean, obviously, you found this podcast, you know that I share a lot on Instagram and Twitter and whatever the case is. But I went out of my way to find this person's podcast, share almost share the person's podcast, but I was like, no, let me listen to myself. Let me hear myself on the other side, because I've heard myself on the radio and with those clips and stuff like that. Let me go back and listen to myself. Come to find out, the episode that has my name on it, so if you are going to go through the trouble of looking up a Nathan Williams, good luck. You're not going to find it. But the episode that is listed on my name for this particular person, who I'm not going to name for reasons, that episode is... the title of the episode is there, but my audio is not there. It's totally different person, totally destructive. Really pissed me off. So from that point on, I actually have been pushing harder to get the podcast out, because I'm like, how the hell do you have a podcast and can't do that right? Sometimes I just feel like I can do somebody's job better than them. And clearly I'm off to a great start. This is like free therapy for me. So I'm going to take this up. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people who follow me who probably have never heard me speak or know my takes on everything. I give a lot of offlandish takes while I'm off of social media, because I feel like some of that stuff should not be permanent on the internet. And this will be the one little avenue that I'm actually okay with it. Everything that I will ever say here in front of this computer, in front of this microphone, in front of that camera that I am recording and trying to figure out how I'm going to upload it, everything that I will ever say will be calculated and not scripted. I refuse to script my podcast, but I do have little bullets and points that I follow off of. So just letting you know, this is as real as possible. It is for me. So yeah, definitely throwing that out there. But that was one of the reasons. I'm also inspired. I listened to a few podcasts that kind of piqued my interest, something, a little thing in sports. And I had one podcast. There was a TikToker. He's more famous for the what's his name? Alex something. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But his podcast is called what is it called? I'm blanking. See, this is the downside of not being prepared. I am prepared, but I'm just not thinking at the moment. His podcast actually inspired me to do one by myself. I was actually looking for co-hosts, and I was just like, there's no way that I'm going to actually do something by myself, because that's a lot of talking. That's a lot of listening for the person who wants to listen to the podcast. But I felt like I felt like I was doing too much. But I realized that through his podcast, I realized that I'm actually okay with that. Because there's really no rules to this when you think about it. This isn't like radio where you're super limited on what you can do, what can you say, stuff like that. Pull up a chair. Yes, pull up a chair. If you find it's Alexander Gallonil, or there's a French last name, Alexander G. Find his podcast. He's more famously known for the guy with the pillow on TikTok, where he just mouths out anything that he thinks of. That's like, I don't know, like mind blowing. I found this content very interesting, and Pull Up a Chair is actually a really good podcast, but it's actually what I find myself copying and pasting over, because his podcast idea is so simple. It's so laid back where he can just talk about anything. And that's kind of what I want to do too. But I also want to tell stories and tell about the experiences that I've had in any topic that I feel comfortable with, and bringing people on so that way they can talk about it too. This is a people's platform at the end of the day. Anybody can start a podcast. I just want to use my little platform to grow another person's platform. We can all grow together and stuff like that. So that's what's inspiring me, and that's kind of actually where I want to go with that. What schedule am I rocking with? You know, life is so unstructured when you really think about it. I mean, you got work, you got bills, you got to get gas every now and again. I refuse to limit myself by having a constructed schedule with this because anybody can listen to it at whenever time they want. At the moment in time as I'm recording this, I don't have a legitimate posting time, but I'm pretty good about getting it out there when it is posted. Don't think I'm super inconsistent, but I am working retail. So that's not gonna be as easy as it sounds. So I'm not even gonna even shoot for being consistent there. Being consistent as in having one once a week at least, not being consistent as in like having one every Friday, you know? That's unrealistic, and I refuse to hold myself to that. You know, this will be something that I'm going to put out there whenever I can, whenever I want, because this is mine. And it'll be well worth the wait, whether it's a week, 2 weeks, 2 days, who knows. I'm gonna have something on my mind. I always do. And I'm taking this leap of faith to actually go through with what I want to talk about. Because I felt like I've held myself back for a long time on it. I've had important things to say, just nobody really worth uh talking to, or the trust of having these words actually be listened and taken in and actually waiting for a legitimate response instead of a response to reply, a response to build on. So that's what makes this thing a lot easier for me. I'm super introverted for people who don't know. I'm very much so an introvert, but I can be I can be sociable as well. It just depends on the approach for me. So where can you find this podcast? Obviously, you found it on one of these streaming services, whether I post this video on YouTube or if it's on Apple Podcasts. That's such a weird name. Or Spotify. I like Spotify personally. I rocked with Spotify for a while now. Apple Podcasts, I think I used that first, but Spotify having that music and having the podcast there together, come on now. Perfect combo. This video will probably go on YouTube, more than likely, and on my website, Nate Go Live. So that's the expectation there. We're gonna see what actually happens. But yeah, that's mainly what I want to go with that. Now, where do I want to go from here podcast wise? Like I said, inspire. I want to inspire the world with some storytelling. There's always a story that needs to be told, whether it's an experience from high school that may help somebody down the line, like say my nephews. My nephews are at a younger age, they're still in elementary school. They might go back and listen to a few of these and just be like, whoa, Nathan, you did this. Yes. Or like, maybe something to get off my chest. I don't know. There's never, like I said earlier, life has really, when you think about it from a real like barrier standpoint, there is no structure in this life. There's no structure at all. I think once you understand that you could be very free form with how you live, you'll be better. And I think lately for me, that's kind of how it's been. Now I have that overwhelming confidence to actually go through with what I want to do here. And, I enjoy talking. I enjoy when I want to. I enjoy editing. I enjoy putting together some projects so people can listen to it. And I think I even said this in the teaser video. I understand that with this particular project, this project is personal for me. Some people, some audience, people aren't going to like this. And I'm okay with that. I'm always looking for ways to improve, but I ain't going to change my entire structure for the sake of one individual. Because again, this is a personal project. This is a way to express myself. It's literally called in my own words, like what were you expecting? But no, I'm willing to talk about stuff, and I'm actually going to use social media a lot because that will definitely help me get something out there. I'm going to be walking down memory lane as well. Like I said, something I don't like doing, but I'm definitely going to find myself walking down there and growing from that visit back in the past. I guess I can do a little bit of announcements to wrap this up a little bit. So, guest hosts. My friends are top priority, and as you can see behind me, everyone that is on this frame right here is top priority. So if you want to fill out that form, or you want to be here, we can do a Zoom, we can do whatever. Let me know, because I'm down for it. We could talk about basically anything. I don't mess with politics though, so do not come out here with your lefts and your rights. I don't care for that stuff, bro. Like, I don't care. I so don't care about politics, bro. This is about improving thyself, not improving the government. Like, let them figure that out. That's what they were elected for. I ain't about to change my Twitter picture to some dude who don't know who I exist. You know what I mean? Like, that ain't gonna happen. So in regards to that, I'm not touching that. But if there's an issue that impacts other people, I'm down. But other than that, hell no. Do not bring that here. This is a safe space. This is a non-political space. Trust. No, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. I will get better at this. But this is a conversation. At the end of the day, that's what podcasts are supposed to be. They're supposed to be conversation. Growth. And as I mentioned, structure. Obviously, we're probably going to go, what is this at? 16 minutes. So probably like 15 minutes or so. Yeah, it's pretty much gonna be like this for the first couple episodes until I figure out what I want to do. I didn't even finish this bulletin point. Like, I'm being so honest. Like, in my own words, this is what it is. I'm not a structured person. I may seem like it, but I fake it half the time. But we'll talk about that on a different day. So for myself and for you, be blessed, be true, be you, and stay blessed. Bye.